Hi there booktube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to be doing my May TBR. My TBRs for the last few months have been a bit all over the shop, and I don't think it's really affected my reading. I don't think that doing a TBR necessarily makes my reading go better, or not doing a TBR makes it worse. I just think sometimes I'm in the mood for a TBR and sometimes I'm not. This month I'm in a mood to set a few more sort of TBRs. So I've got some books to show you for various different reasons why I'm reading them. The first two I'm showing you are ones that I've pulled out of my cards on my Bookopoly, and I'm a bit behind. I pull one a month, and they are books that are recommended by other booktubers, and I read them and then I talk about them. I haven't yet done this. That is my own fault, and I have read I think one or two of them already. So I have got two last month's and the one for this month that I have pulled out, and I'm going to make a considered effort to read them this month. The first one, which is one that I pulled a month ago, is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I've heard nothing but good things about this, but the person that I heard about it first who really enjoyed it was the Poptimist channel. I'll link him down below. I think he does wonderful in-depth reviews, and I think all of the things that he say are really intelligent, really considered, and I really love watching his reviews on books. So that really piqued my interest when I first watched his review. There have since been a lot of people that have enjoyed this, and I really loved Celeste Ng's first book, Everything I Never Told You. It was a really interesting look into a family and their life, following on from the death of one of the daughters, and we're just following the reasons why, what happened, and everyone's perspective on how they feel about it and their lives really. In this one I don't know too much about it, although I've watched some reviews. Generally I've stayed clear of any in-depth reviews because I do like to you know, pick apart the things myself within the book and the themes, and I don't want to be spoiled. But in general, what I've heard is that this is based in, again, a small town community where we're following a family that's lived there quite a while. They have a number of children, and we're following some newcomers, a single mother and her daughter, and I believe the daughter becomes friends with maybe the daughter from this well-established family, and there is some sort of incident that happens. I think this book takes a really good look at motherhood from what I've heard, and I'm really interested to read it, so I'm going to finally pick up this one and see if the Poptimist has similar taste in this book to me. The second one of these books that I have to read is Fredrik Backman's Beartown. I'm going into this one with some trepidation. I haven't liked Fredrik Backman's other books, which is a little bit controversial because a lot of people really enjoyed. I think it's Letters to My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You and A Man Called Ove. They weren't for me, but this one sounded really interesting when I heard Drinking by My Shelf talk about it, and so that made me want to pick it up. Unfortunately, I've heard since from people like Janet from Swirly Girly Reads and a couple of others that it was just quite a lot about ice hockey and they couldn't really get into it. I don't mind the ice hockey references. I've been to quite a few ice hockey games. My stepfather-in-law is really into ice hockey and follows his team all the time. He's always at ice hockey, and so I don't mind that so much. So I'll be interested to see how I get on with this. I've also got it on audiobook. I used one of my credits to get it from Audible, so I may be using this as my audiobook for the month, but I'm hoping to read it nonetheless and see if I agree with Drinking by My Shelf or if I agree with a lot of other reviews that I've heard. The next selection of books all go together because they are all books that I have had in book boxes. I love receiving book boxes and seeing all the little bits that come with you and finding out about the books, and yet they sit on a pile and often they don't get read as quickly as I would like. So I would like to really read all of these ones in this pile. I have got 7. I'd like to read them all this month if possible, or as many as possible, and do a review video talking about all of them and my thoughts. So the first one I've got to read was a most recent one that came in my latest book box, and that is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This book follows a young girl growing up in Harlem. She wants to be a poet. Poetry is something that she really enjoys, but it it goes against everything that her family, especially her mother, believe. Her mother is a church-going woman and very religious, and doesn't feel like poetry is the right thing for her daughter to be doing. So I'm looking forward to reading this, and this one has tabs that have been put in with notes from the author, and I got this one from my Page Habit box. Next, also from Page Habit, I have The Apocalypse of Elena Mendoza by Sean David Hutchinson. I haven't read Sean David Hutchinson's We Are the Ants, but I hear nothing but good things. I believe this is about a girl in a town who is the product of a virgin birth, and she is a bit of a spectacle. People don't really understand how that happened, and I believe she is a lesbian, and she manages to save the life of either her girlfriend or someone that she fancies life in a diner or something, and it turns out that she's got this sort of healing gift, and it's how she uses that. I'm really interested to see where this one takes us, and again it's tabbed by the author, which is always exciting. The next book is called The Outwalkers by Fiona Shaw, The Outwalkers by Fiona Shaw, and this is set in sort of Scotland and England, and is about it's set in a time where the government chips you at birth so that they know where you are at all times. This young boy escapes from his orphanage and is making his way to Scotland, where on the way he is sort of kidnapped or taken by this group. They are called the Outwalkers. They're a gang, and they take him, and I don't know if they're looking to help him get to where he needs to go or what, but this sounds a bit interesting. This is the one that I'm a little bit nervous about not enjoying, but we shall see. This one isn't tabbed up, so there won't be any extra bits in it, but I'm looking forward to reading it nonetheless. Another Page Habit one, The Truth Beneath the Lies by Amanda Searchy. So I believe this book follows two girls, Kayla and Betsy. One of them has a really troubled home life, the other has a lot of secrets, and I think one of them is a new girl at school, and it says very ominously at the bottom of the blurb, when fate brings Kayla and Betsy together, only one girl will live. So that sounds interesting and intriguing, and I can't wait to try this one, and again tabbed by the author. Another Page Habit one is The Last Star Burning by Caitlin Sangster. I don't know much about this one at all. It's about a young girl. Her mother has been captured and is, I think, I don't know if you can see here, sort of in this sort of stasis that apparently has been caused by some plague. She went against the government or did something wrong, and so she's sort of imprisoned by this plague, and the daughter is now looking to sort of prove to the government that she's worth her while, worth being alive rather than dead. She needs to get out of where they are, and so she has to enlist the chairman's son to help her, and we'll find out more about it there, I suppose. Again, tabbed by the author, which will be good. Page Habit again, and I have Haven by Mary Lindsay. This story follows two teenagers, one called Rain, who's had a terrible background. He's judged by people for his rough appearance, the way he is. I believe he's an orphan, and he then meets a girl called Freddie, who I believe he needs to sort of fight for. There'll be some sort of romance relationship in here, I'm sure, and I look forward to seeing where this one takes us, and again tabbed by the author. And the final one I have is again a Page Habit one, and that is Reign of the Fallen by Sarah Glenn Marsh. So I believe we're following a girl in this who is a necromancer, and when one of the noble people dies, she is enlisted to bring them back by taking their soul back to their body from this sort of Deadlands area. She's one of many necromancers. There is sort of a guild or a group of them, so I'm sure this one's going to be full of secrets and conspiracies, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what I think. And as if that wasn't enough, there's also a few books, there's 4 books that have just been calling to me recently that I really want to pick up soon, so I've put them on my TBR. The first is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. It's about a 16-year-old girl called Grace who puts her baby up for adoption, and I think through this process or somehow she finds out that she herself is adopted and finds out that she has siblings she didn't know about. As I say, all I keep hearing is wonderful things about this, so it's really piqued my interest. And the next one that I'm interested in picking up soon is Spontaneous by Aaron Starmer. I picked this up when I was in Bath with Janet at Mr. B's and they recommended it. I love the fact that down the side it says kabam, and this is a contemporary story with a bit of a twist, because at the beginning of this sort of school year people have started spontaneously combusting. It's happening quite regularly, no one really knows what's going on, and we're following our main character Mara, who's in her senior year, and I just think this sounds really fun. The lady in Mr. B's who told me about this said that she'd heard it was really funny and it had really good comical sort of contemporary edge to it, but it was always also quite serious. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving this one a go and seeing what I think. Next up is the second book in a trilogy by a self-published author that I was very kindly sent the books of, and this is Origin of the Body by H.R. Moore. So as I say, this is book 2 in the trilogy, so I can't tell you too much about it, but I really enjoyed the first book in the trilogy, and I feel like I don't want to leave it too long before I get into the next one so that I don't really forget what is going on. From what I can remember in the first book, it's set in a world where there's sort of 3 types of ability. You can either have spirit, body or mind, so you can have control over certain things. You can be exceptionally strong, or you can be particularly good at a particular sport or activity if you are a body. If you are a spirit, you have this more sort of telepathic or more spiritual side, and if you are a mind, you're researcher, clever, academic. And there was sort of conspiracies going on, and we find out a bit more about our main character and her love interest. There was quite a lot of romance in here. I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to getting stuck into book 2. And then finally is a book I don't know much about, but I'm really intrigued. I was very kindly sent this by the publisher a while back. It's called True Vine by Beth Macy, an extraordinary true story of 2 brothers and a mother's love. And I just think this sounds really interesting. The back says it's set in 1899 True Vine, Virginia. In the heart of the Jim Crow South, everyone that George and Willie Muse knew was either a former slave or a child or grandchild of slaves. They were just 6 and 9 years old, but the brothers worked the fields of a sweltering tobacco farm from dawn to dusk, until a white man offered them candy and stole them away to the circus. There they were forced to enact outrageous caricatures, supposed cannibals, sheep-headed freaks, even ambassadors from Mars. For the next 28 years their distraught mother struggled to get them back. But were they really kidnapped? And how did their mother, a barely literate black woman in the segregated South, manage to bring them home? And why, after coming home, did they want to go back to the circus? True Vine is an unforgettable tale of cruelty and exploitation, but also of loyalty, determination and love. So I'm really interested in this. It's got pictures in the middle which look interesting, but I don't want to look too much until I get into it. I just think this will be a really interesting non-fiction read, so I can't wait for this one. So a massive pile of books for my May TBR, but I'm looking forward to all of these, and it'll be really nice to get to some of those books that have come in book boxes and finally be able to review them for you all. Have you read any of these? Did you love any of these? What are you reading in May? Let me know. Let's talk as always in the comments down below. Bye for now, BookTube.